Welcome to another video from Con Tutorial. In today's lecture, we will discuss about aminoglycosides. So let's get started. We know that protein synthesis occurs in ribosomes, and ribosomes are made up of 30S and 50S subunits in the bacteria. So here we have two targets, antibiotics that act on 30S ribosomal unit to inhibit the protein synthesis, which includes aminoglycosides, tetracycline and glycycycline, and antibiotics that act on 50S subunits, which includes macrolides, ketolides, lincosamides, etc. In this video, we will be discussing only about aminoglycosides. These aminoglycosides are structurally sugars, that is, they are made up of two or more amino sugars joined in glycosidic linkage to hexose nuclease. As it is a sugar, that means they are water soluble, so this makes it unlikely to be absorbed in the GIT because it is polar. So this drug should be administered as IM or IV. Due to this same property, that is water solubility, it cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, and it will be excreted unchanged in urine and not metabolized by liver. So we need to adjust its dose in kidney failure patients. Aminoglycosides act by binding to the 30S ribosomal subunit and thus interfering with the initiation complex formation that is formed by the 30S ribosome. It also causes a misreading of the genetic code that leads to synthesis of non-functional proteins or premature termination of protein synthesis. It also breaks up the polysomes into monosomes. Here, this figure shows a 30S subunit of bacterial ribosome. Here you can see the mRNA in 5' to 3' direction. Suppose we have a codon AUG-GAA, which will encode for a specific amino acid. Now, if the aminoglycosides attaches to the 30S ribosome, this will cause a shift in the frame of the reading sequence of messenger RNA. And now this strand will be read as AU, which is not the complete codon, and the next will be GGA, and this GGA will encode for another amino acid that was not meant to be here. Instead, there should have been another amino acid for GAA. So in this way, there will be production of non-functional proteins and even protein synthesis inhibition. Now, how aminoglycosides enter the bacteria? The cell walls of bacteria contains porins. There are pores in the cell membrane through which the antibiotics enter. The drug will enter into the periplasmic space. From there, it will encounter the cell membrane. Now, a cell membrane has pumps that are oxygen dependent, that is, it requires oxygen to pump the aminoglycosides into the cell. So, the bacteria that do not use oxygen, that is anaerobes, will be resistant to aminoglycosides. Thus, the spectrum of activity includes gram-negative aerobic bacteria. The spectrum of activity of aminoglycosides include gram-negative rods like Pseudomonas, Klebsiella, E. coli and Protease. They also have a bactericidal activity against the gram-positive cocci. Also, they are used in tuberculosis and some other gram-negative infections like plague. They are also used topically for skin, ear, eye infections. And now about the modes of resistance, they include drug inactivation by conjugating the enzymes, by decreasing the entry through porins, and also by decreased affinity to ribosome binding. One thing to remember about this aminoglycoside is the concentration dependent killing. That means higher the plasma concentration, more of the bacteria is killed. One dose daily regimen is followed because if the total daily dose is given as a single injection, it will reach the higher peak plasma concentration, and thus a maximum effect will be achieved by single dose. Again, this will also decrease the side effects because there will not be a constant therapeutic level of the drug for long time. and they also have a post-antibiotic effect. Now coming to the side effects of aminoglycosides. Aminoglycosides are strongly associated with ototoxicity, that is mainly due to the damage to the 8th cranial nerve, and vestibular and cochlear dysfunctions are seen. The risk factors are increases in elderly and repeated doses, and also in patients with already existing auditory impairments. Secondly, nephrotoxicity is seen especially with neomycin. And third, they have a neuromuscular blocking effect by decreasing the acetylcholine release, just like botulinum toxin. And finally, they also shows hypersensitivity reactions. And these aminoglycosides are contraindicated in pregnancy due to ototoxicity to fetus. Now about the drugs, which includes streptomycin, gentamicin, neomycin, amikacin and tobramycin. This streptomycin is the first line of drug for tuberculosis and a drug of choice for tularemia and plague. Gentamicin is not effective against TB, but it is effective against gram-negative rods and gram-positive cocci. Neomycin, as it causes the nephrotoxicity, it is used only topically. Amikacin, they have a broad spectrum of activity when compared to other aminoglycosides and are resistant to enzymes. It is used for the treatment of TB as well. This tobramycin is just like gentamicin, but better in Pseudomonas aeruginosa infections. So this is all about aminoglycosides.